There's a lot of people that I meet with that they come in, to your point, very concerned. And I tell them, and I look at them and I say, look, you are not in as bad of shape as you thought. And that obviously is a great feeling. So people don't always know until you really do the work and do the analysis. You don't really know.
Did you push record?
Thank you so much for joining us today on our second act with Paige and Silka. Today is our expert segment day, and we're continuing the conversation Paige and I started about the importance of taking charge of your financial health after 50. And joining us today is Todd Youngdahl from Washington Wealth Advisors. Todd, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Silka. Thank you for having me.
Well, before we, really get into our conversation, I would like people to know that the reason you're joining us today is because you are Paige's personal financial advisor.
I am, and I have been for quite some time. So I'm also very lucky to call Paige and Tim friends as well.
I mean, well, me too. They're incredible people who have gone through so much, which is
Yes.
really, what prompted this segment, because we've been focusing a lot on physical health, everything that affects our quality of life after 50.
Sure.
And Paige said, one thing that we're not focusing on is financial health. And that has become so critical, as she has experienced, and as I have, and as so many people have today. So let's talk about that. How do we ease our fears of facing retirement and what our financial condition is?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people, even over the age of 50, who have never worked with a financial planner before, never met with a financial advisor, and maybe that causes fear and anxiety. They don't want to, even take that first step. And what I've told you before was that, we here offer an initial complimentary meeting for people just to come in and kind of have a discovery discussion, just have a get to know you and hear a little bit about what financial goals people might have, what are they working towards, and just, find out if there's a way that, we can offer assistance. So I think taking that first step is obviously, doesn't need to be as scary as people may think.
And to your point, I think, like with me sometimes, and I've heard other people say this too, financial is, I don't have enough money. Nobody wants to deal with my situation. Or you feel just stupid for some of the decisions that you make. I just recently changed financial advisors. And, again, I just finally just sat down and said, I just really feel stupid for some of the decisions I've made. And he made me feel so comfortable that this
Yes.
is, and again, I'm not alone. Can you speak to that? Do you get that a lot? Are people just embarrassed, or they think they need to show that they know more? Talk about that a little bit.
I think people, what they're looking for is a partner. I mean, I would say, as much as we are financial planners, we are partners in your financial life, and that's what we're trying to do is make you feel comfortable to make empowered, educated financial decisions. And that's, at least here at our firm, that's one of the key principles. I mean, not only do we want to advise people on making smart decisions, but we want to empower them with education as well.
In working with a lot of people, of course, of our vintage, what are some of the top mistakes that are made that could be avoided if we just knew to avoid them?
Yeah, I think the first mistake is just not having an open discussion at this stage of your life about what your future goals and retirement dreams are. Just really reassessing what you want your life to look like when you no longer want to work. So I think that's the first piece, is just to kind of have that open discussion, whether it be with yourself, your partner, and if you want to bring a financial planner into the mix as well.
Well, and again, in a lot of the interviews I've done with other experts, career coaches, that sort of thing, there is a sense of hopelessness sometimes that comes up, especially with our generation when we're taking, I think we're called the sandwich generation. We have parents that we take care of, we have kids that we still take care of. But it's never too late, you say, right?
It's never, no. You're exactly right. Financial planning, it's never too late to start because it's always ongoing. Your life is changing, people's lives are changing, markets are changing, taxes are changing. There's always changes. So it's never too late to start and really have that discussion about, what do you want your life to look like from a financial perspective in the future?
And I believe you said analyzing and staying on track, and that builds into that conversation with your advisor.
Sure. Yeah. I think that a lot of people, once you've defined what it is your vision is and if it's changed, is to just take a step back and say, okay, are we on track to get there? How much assets have we accumulated? How much are we saving? Take into account a lot of these other variables and do some hard analysis and look at the numbers. And again, that may be a little bit scary, but I think it's still extremely important to do. And, I think it will help get you at least moving forward.
Yeah.
To
Well,
whatever
because
goals you may have.
yeah, if you're in bad shape, you're in bad shape. You might as well know.
Yeah, and honestly though, on the flip side, if you're in better shape than you thought, there's a lot of people that I meet with that they come in, to your point, very concerned. And I tell them and I look at them and I say, look, you are not in as bad of shape as you thought. And that obviously is a great feeling. So people don't always know until you really do the work and do the analysis. You don't really know.
That's a great point that you just brought up. Thank you for turning it to the positive because I'm like harping on the fear. But in a way, that is exactly what happened to me. Because with making some of the decisions I did, with starting this channel, with getting divorced, but I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And I'm a conservative German, and he sat down and he felt my hand. He said, "You're not. It's not that bad.
You're
So
not in
that
as bad
can
a shape."
happen.
Yeah, and you can take those type of risks with your career or with your retirement plans or with your investment. I think it's again just reevaluating what your vision is and then reassessing how on track you are for that.
Getting your head out of the sand. It's not good in the sand.
Yeah, that's not going to do anybody any good.
Yeah. One of the things that I did right, actually, and that was a third mistake that you pointed out, and I was glad to see that, is I got long-term care insurance because I learned that going through with my parents. But people who don't go through this and see the need for it, they don't want to talk about that either, right?
Oh, absolutely not. Yes. I mean, I start talking to people about long-term care insurance usually between the ages of 50 and 55, and I'm sure you can imagine that's not top of their mind. It's not, ideally what they want to talk about. But I would say with the staggering costs, especially in the DC area, in California, some of the expensive states, it's a very important discussion to have. Very important discussion to have because it's part of your retirement plan to protect your assets.
Yes, exactly. Well, Paige speaks so highly of you, Todd, and I really want to thank you for, taking time out of your busy schedule to be here.
Anytime.
I also want to encourage people, I believe you said it's okay if people email you, or perhaps if they have some questions, you can either help them directly or refer them on to...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people can reach us at our website, which is washingtonwealthadv.com. And, they can email, call. We're happy to help.
Well, I will provide links to all of your contact information if people do want to get in contact with you directly. And I again want to really stress that, working with the financial planner, if you haven't already done so, it is a huge step towards trust. And Paige made a good point about going with your inner knowing. How do you have any advice on reading the temperature of whether or not you're a good match for a client?
Well, I think I'm glad you mentioned the word trust because in all the feedback that we get from our existing clients, that is the number one reason why they have worked with us for so long, similar to Paige and Tim. I mean, we have relationships with people for 15, 16, 17 years, and the number one reason that they say that they've continued that relationship is trust. So, I just think it's important to take that first step, get into an office and meet with someone. It's usually complimentary like it is here, and just start to have that discussion. I think you'll know. I believe that people know and have a feeling when it comes to trusting their advisor.
Well, the purpose of this segment really and what we're focusing on is to let people know just how important it is to take that step, like you just said. And again, if anybody wants to contact you directly, please, I encourage them to do so. And I thank you so much again for joining us today on Our Second Act with Paige and Silka. See you
Thank
again
you,
soon.
Silka.
Okay. Bye-bye. So glad you were able to join us today, and I hope you found this information helpful. If you haven't already done so, please just take 1 second and subscribe to our channel. Button's right over here. And for more information about living your life to the fullest after 50 and taking charge of your financial health, please visit our website, secondact.tv. See you soon.